What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another build video for the Division 2, and this one is going to be really important for you next week. This is the build that took me through Master last season. It's the go-to one that I went for, and I ended up clearing Master with this build, and it's what I'm going to be taking next week into this current season's Master level when it gets released at the end of the Manhunt, and I'm really excited for it. And I'm going to be bringing this build in because of how powerful it is, and I think you should check it out too. Let's take a quick overview of the stats like we always do to get you acclimated with what's going on here, and then we'll jump into all the pieces. So this is starring the Chameleon, and I want to be clear here because I just recently did a video on the Chameleon Exodus combo. As you can see here from the pieces that we're running, this is not that build. That's not a build I used in the Master run. This is completely different, and though it is still using the Chameleon, it functions and feels completely different. Totally different playstyle. It's a run and gun. We are a tank DPS hybrid. This is made for a legendary Master. It can do anything. It's definitely overpowered for anything but the toughest content, which is the purpose of me putting this build together, was to leverage the Chameleon's power for the toughest content, being legendary and that Master mission. I've used it in legendary a lot, be it missions or in the summit. I've used it solo, I've used it in a group, and it took me through Master. So it's super, super strong, and it's actually really easy to put together. The farmability here is really easy. We got a couple exotics, basic blue strikers, and a named piece that is a gimme god roll with how we're using it. So let's get into the game and start walking through the pieces, and I'll tell you all about what's going on here. Alright, y'all, we're in game now. Let's take a look at this here. This is what we got going. Of course, we're using the Chameleon, right? The Chameleon is super, super strong. I love the changes that they made to it recently. Now, we're not combining it with the Exodus for that whole infinite uptime on the buffs, and that's all right, because that trade-off that we're making is getting us a lot in return. And that's why we're not running that combination. Though our buffs are going to go down like normal and you'll have to get them back up. With the changes they made to the Chameleon, you just need 65 body shots for that main buff. That's just over a mag. So if you're mag dumping with how close we are, that shouldn't be too much of a problem. Always start with those leg shots for the reload speed. You'll get your buffs up really quick, and it works out quite well. Now what's going on here is that we're really, really tanky, mostly because of the combination of Memento plus Motherly Love and Artificer and Shield, okay? This is sort of a template that you'll see me run across a lot of my builds because the synergy between all these pieces is super strong, especially since the update to Motherly Love giving 25% skill health. Now, I've talked about that a lot, but if you don't know about it, skill health is increasing the health of our shield. Look at that. We're almost at a 6 million health shield, and that's before the efficiency that we're getting from Memento. This package works really well together, and the Artificer is refreshing at base 63% of our shield every 10 seconds. And that's not even at full stack. And we're killing people because we're running strikers. And the Chameleon puts out quite a bit of damage. So we're going to be getting those trophies that are going to be giving us bonus armor and those long-term buffs in terms of armor regen, which is going to be our survivability. We're layered here, even behind the shield. And we've got a lot of synergy going on because this Memento is increasing us on all fronts. Not just damage, not just armor, but we're taking advantage of everything it has to offer, and we're able to pick up those trophies even in a group setting. Now, with how tanky we are here, that's why this has been my choice for Master gameplay. It's the one that I used last time, and it's what I'm going to be taking in this time. We're so tanky that we're able to, with all our blues, all the bonus armor, and the shield, we're able to kind of be explorative and be aggressive with the new mission. It's going to be the first time we're playing this mission ever, right? So we have no idea what to expect. If you remember, in the first stage of the last Master mission, they're coming in from all sides. And we don't know what the spawns are. We don't know what we're going to have to do yet. That's why I always opt for a tank DPS sort of build. So I have the confidence to explore the mission, not worry about, if there's a spawn behind me and I get flanked, it'll be tanky enough to turn around, engage, win that battle. You can take some hits here and there. Whereas if you're running a squishy DPS build, you don't even know what the optimal positions are that you want to be in to be dishing that damage. Because, it's the first time we're seeing it. So I'm opting for a tank DPS hybrid like this one to explore that mission. And in fact, we're actually missing a component. So what you're seeing here is one of the slight variations where I'm running crit on all my mods. What I would do is, give me a sec here. Those mods, you want protection from elites. Okay? That's very important for the master level. And that's an easy switch that you can do to if you're taking it into legendary. Or you can keep it in legendary if you want. But in master, definitely recommend running protection from elites because you're fighting almost entirely elites. Similar to what you'll see in like Countdown, where I love using protection from elite builds. So, going over the pieces again here, we got the huge synergy between Memento and the Motherly Love with the classic tank combination of Artificer and Crusader Shield. And again, this is going to be even stronger once we get that 30% efficiency at full buff from Memento, right? So that's sort of the staple of the build, and that's why we're not running the Exodus combo. Running Exodus not only takes up our glove slot, which means we can't run Motherly Love, it takes up our exotic slot, which means we can't run Memento. And that's why that other build is really its own thing. It's completely separate, and it plays completely differently. It's way more aggressive in a way and damage oriented. It's not as defensive like this one is. We can take a lot more damage. Though the Exodus in its own right has the smoke bomb thing that'll get you out of sticky situations, this one, we're way tankier, like sustained throughout very long battles, and you don't need to worry about the timing with the smoke bomb proccing. We have a very, very tanky package here. And that's also because the blues on all the pieces. So we're filling in the rest here, our 4-piece with strikers for that damage. We're a hybrid here, and we're taking care of the tanky side over there. We're running blues on everything to really lean into that. It's making our shield tankier. It's making us tankier. We're getting more bonus armor from those Mementos trophies. And Strikers is going to give us a hell lot of damage, especially with the chest. And with the RPM here, over 1,000 of the Chameleon. And again, we're playing with modifiers, so that's going to go even higher once we're stacking those modifiers that are giving us RPM boost and damage boost. We're able to get those stacks. Now, the chest stacks are actually doable on this build. We kind of don't really have a choice because there's no way I'm dropping Memento Motherly Love combo. But we're not losing out damage on maintaining the Striker's chest stacks. It's totally doable. We have a high RPM weapon, and we're always so close that we're getting very high accuracy on our mag dumps. We're able to get those stacks up and maintain them once they are up at max damage. And that's pretty much the package there. Secondary doesn't really matter. Pistol doesn't really matter. We're not switching off the Chameleon because we want to keep those buffs up from the talent. And then, like I said, we want protection from elites here going on. Now, the other thing to mention, I talked about blues everywhere, but not on the gloves. We're going to be keeping the skill tier on the gloves. It comes with it, so being able to roll to repair skills. This is really the standout piece here, and it looks the most different than everything else, right? Blues and crits everywhere, and then we got these gloves that are giving us repair skills on the brand. We're rolling repair skills, and we're keeping the skill tier. that is what's going to buff this Artificer, okay? So we're just not just a, baby tier 0 Artificer. You need to spec into it if you want it to actually be useful in your tank build, and a lot of people make that mistake. This is the number we care about here, skill repair, okay? It's always 10 seconds. You leave it on your back, one charge is going to come and refresh your shield for this amount every 10 seconds. You can't change it 10 seconds, but what you can do is change this. And skill repair and skill tier scale differently, and they multiply into each other, so you don't actually just want to stack repair skills everywhere, or stack a bunch of skill tiers without repair skills. There's a certain trade-off to be had here, and the amount of repair skills we're getting from this, combined with what's going to come from memento trophies, and we're getting tier 3 from those 2 pieces, plus the skill tree of Technician, we are getting a tier 3 with lots of repair skills. That's more than half of our shield, and it gets up to, I think, high 70s, almost 80% of our shield at full memento stacks. That's going to be coming back, and our shield's going to be even tankier than 6 mil. So that's a really, really strong package. And so that, combined with the damage from strikers and the Chameleon, that's going to be giving us 90% extra weapon damage, just compensating for all those reds that we're not running and running blues instead. We're going to be hitting pretty hard. And I used it in plenty of gameplay. This is tried and tested. I keep this build in my loadout library. I'm using it for sure. This is not just a making it for video. This one is strong, and it's what I'm going to be taking through Master. All right, let's talk about variations quickly. There's really not much to change here because most of these pieces are locked in and what make the build what it is. You can't switch off memento. You need the motherly glove. You need the motherly love glove for sure. You could consider rolling off repair skills. You could consider rolling off the skill tier. I really think that for the toughest content that we're playing here, I want to keep this tier 3 at that amount of repair, but that's a trade-off that you can make. I also recommend, keeping all the blues, but you can change the cores. Other than that, there's nothing much to do. Now, I did talk about the mods. 100% protection from elites is the play when we're playing Master because of all the elites. I normally switch it into crits when I'm playing Legendary and other content, which is, for me, is Legendary. You don't really need to take this into Heroic. Watch my build series that I did on the Chameleon, where I actually started with this and worked backwards into a Heroic build, where I'll show you a much better setup for Heroic specifically, because this is way too overpowered and it belongs in Master and Legendary level gameplay. Other than that, there's not much to change up here. As soon as you start changing the skills or our anchor pieces, the memento and motherly love, it's just a different build at that point. You can maybe mess with the cores, but for me, this is tuned to perfection. We don't need any more damage. I like how tanky we are. I wouldn't start trading that off, because with this, your shield's not going to be breaking. You're able to stay in the fight longer. Starting to trade off on the skill tier or on some of the blues, it's not for me. Stat-wise, remember, you want to keep your chance at around 40. I could probably run another one to be just a little bit over, but you want 40 because you're going to be getting 20 from the head buff of the Chameleon, and then we're also going to be getting another 50 crit damage, so this is going to go even higher. Alright, y'all, that's the build. I'm going to be using it next week when Master comes out, and I hope you check it out too, because it's going to be a really strong way to get familiar with the new mission and hopefully complete it on that first try. So I hope you enjoyed this build video, and until the next one, I'll see you. Enjoy.